What's going on, everyone? All right, thank you for downloading a new episode. Thank you for joining us. Episode 76 of the Retro Gamers. Larry here.
And Anthony here.
Oh, very sick, very low Anthony.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm a bass today.
All right, well, Anthony's had a bit of the flu, I think, this week.
I don't know what I had, the flu, a cold, it's something. You know what it is? It's 75 degrees in January in Southern California.
Oh, God.
Even in Southern California, that's a little too warm. I think it was like 82 the other day.
God forbid, you know, the 6 degrees that we had, or -6, that we had about a week ago here in New York.
This is what happens when it's too warm in the winter.
It's all those.
You know, there's a bug going around, and I caught it.
You caught it deep and caught it hard. Oh well. Well,
Yes,
hopefully you're feeling better.
Yeah, well, if anything, I could put out a great little a cappella album all by myself.
I got to imagine that you got some gaming in hopefully this week.
I did actually. There were a couple of Super Mario 64 streams thanks to my incapacitation. One on our Retro Gamers page and one on our Nerd Herder page, which we are a proud member of. Just shout out to Charles and the Nerd Herder Network, of course.
All of us over there. Exactly. If you like pop culture, comic books, stuff like that, definitely check out Nerd Herder.
Yes, basically all things nerd. So I've been making some progress on Super Mario 64, which is nice. I think I've got almost 30 stars. I've never completed it to its fullest, which is, I think, was it 120?
I think so. Yeah, 120. Yeah.
Yeah, I never made it to 120 stars on the original my original playthrough. So I thought it would be kind of cool to try and do that while live streaming.
Is the muscle memory coming back for that game?
No, not at all.
It's not like Zelda.
It's funny. It's like as I'm playing through it, I'm like, okay, why don't I remember where like certain things are? It's frustrating, but then I also have to remind myself, well, it's been 20 years.
It's been a while. Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, like I guess when Mario 64 first came out, it was like the most revolutionary game ever made. Full 3D. It was amazing. Playing it now, those camera controls are a hum.
I always had issues with the camera. I was never crazy about the camera controls in that game.
I don't remember having this much trouble with the camera controls. But now, like as I'm playing it today, I'm like, oh god, thank God it's become easier. Because I flew through Mario Odyssey without any problems with the camera. I was like, but Mario 64, I'm like, it's such a challenge. So
right. Living up to the challenge.
Yeah, amazing game nonetheless, and I'm 25% of the way through. So I'm gonna. My goal is to live stream every single star, which will be very obnoxious, I'm sure.
What? Nah, no, it should be fun. I'll admit, I got 119. That was it. I never got that last star. That elusive last star.
You got all the way to 119 and quit?
Well, not quit. I never really got that star. Never could achieve it. I don't even remember which level it was. And then, that was around the time, I was in college, needed the money. So I figured, all right, I'm done with this game. Figure I'll sell it. One of the mistakes in life, but you live with it.
Well, I just find it funny. It just kind of completes your entire MO of like how we always used to talk about you never completing games, and how you got like so close. I mean, you were literally 1 star off. I never even got that many stars,
and I just couldn't. And it's not like I never found it. I just couldn't. I can't remember the level. I just remember playing the level over and over and over again. Just could not get that stupid star.
Wow.
Oh well.
Shame on you.
One day.
Shame on the completionist in me would have killed myself.
I can live with it.
Yeah, well,
for now.
Apparently. Well, you've lived with it for 20 years. What's a little longer?
Well, I have it for the virtual console. Might as well try it again.
Yeah, but you always can. That is true.
Well, I need one of these companies to put out a nice N64 that plugs into the Wiimote. That would help.
Well, I mean, you probably won't have to wait for long before we get the N64 Mini. So.
That is very true. I'm looking forward to the Game Boy first, but then that N64. It's funny at work. Almost, I don't know if it's a generational thing or something, but it's kind of like I can see the different groups of people who are waiting for different things. Like I was stoked about the NES Classic. A couple guys a little younger than me, really excited when the Super NES Classic came out. Then a couple more guys a little younger than us, really hoping for an N64 Classic. I don't know. I find it funny.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like you said, it's all generational. I'm sure my cousin, who is 10 years younger than me, would probably be more excited with the the N64 Classic than the NES Classic, even though he's bought that one and the SNES one.
Did you play? Did you play the Saturn?
No, I haven't played the Saturn.
Oh well.
Look, I'll get around to it. I've got other things to worry about, like now finishing Mario 64 on live stream. So that's taking priority.
And living.
Well, yeah, living, being sick. There were good 24 hours where I was home and I couldn't get off the couch, much less lift up a controller.
Yikes!
So you prioritize. First order of business, survival.
Good man.
Then gaming.
Well, hopefully you'll be able to pick up some games this weekend. So.
Yes, I will be at the SoCal Retro Gaming Expo this weekend. Of course, when this episode drops. The expo will have already happened, and I can probably my psychic twinkle says that it will be awesome, and I'll definitely have some news to report.
Well, we'll see. Depending on how quickly we can get it, we may be able to squeeze it in on this episode. Let's be honest, we're recording on Friday, so
recording the day before the expo. So provided I would like to record while I'm there, so that the segment that follows this may actually be the recap of. Or live from the SoCal Retro Gaming Expo.
We'll just throw it to you.
Just throw it to me, and off I go with my sexy baritone voice.
Actually, you know what? Let's try this. Let's try a little experiment. And of course, this will fail miserably if we can't get the recording going for this coming Tuesday. What are you looking forward to picking up, maybe, at the expo?
Okay, so. I definitely always have my eye on Chrono Cross. I want to get a copy of that.
You still haven't? I thought you had. I thought you got that.
No, I'm sorry, not Chrono Cross. Sorry, Chrono Trigger.
Oh,
my bad.
Oh no, I still thought you got that.
No, Chrono Trigger for Super Nintendo. No, it's expensive. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for the day I'm brave enough to drop $100 or more for that game because it's just an expensive game. So I'm keeping an eye out for that. Mm-hmm. Now that I have all of my games. Chronicled on my cataloged. That's what I'm looking for. Cataloged on CLZ. Mm-hmm. On CLZ games on my phone, it'll be a lot easier for me to go shopping because I can look for things that I definitely do not have.
Yeah, right.
Knowing me, I'm probably going to pick up a few Sega CD games because for some odd reason I'm collecting those like crazy.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like my Sega CD collection will be complete before any other system.
Sewer Sharks?
I already have it.
Oh, 6. Niner.
Yep, I already have Sewer Shark. I already have the original Night Trap, even though I don't have the box for it. I do have it, which is cool. Dreamcast. I didn't realize how few Dreamcast games I actually have left. Really? I don't know what happened to some of them. Yeah, I think I only have like 7 or 8.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I thought I had a lot more than that.
Wow. Okay.
Yep. Gonna continue collecting my wrestling games. I actually noticed that since you and I are big wrestling fans, and I've kept most of my wrestling video games, I'm trying to. I want to try and complete that genre in terms of owning all the WWE, WWF, WCW, ECW video games. I don't know how close I am to that. I gotta go back and take stock. But I have most of them. I'm only missing a handful. So that'll be cool. What else? Maybe a homebrew game or two.
Okay.
If I can find them.
I'm telling you, with the couple that I have, especially that Castlevania, It's just so much fun to play those, especially since now I know the systems work with it. It's a whole different level. Maybe you can see some of those Atari ones that we've talked about in the past.
Oh yeah, the ones that were made for like contests and whatnot. That would be really cool. But Chrono Trigger is I think always number one on my list. So I'll keep an eye out on that, and then who knows? Maybe I'll come back with another console. Like I don't have enough.
Ooh, TurboGrafx?
Maybe.
Oh, CD?
Yeah, right. I have $1,500 to throw away.
I was talking to someone, and they're like $1,500. Like I'm talking to someone who was it? No, it wasn't. It wasn't Game On. I was talking to someone who's like kind of dealt with this, and has bought and sold retro gaming and everything. And they said the like $1,500 for that TurboGrafx CD was ridiculous. It's not cheap, but it's not that expensive. So whoever was selling it at that show, I think was trying to bite off more than they can chew.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing you got to remember too at expos like this, people are always going to overcharge for some games and some consoles. And then the other thing, as you learned at our expo, is the risk that you take when buying something at one of these places because they may not work. And the last thing you want to do is spend a few $100s on a console, get it home, and all of a sudden it's not working.
Well, here's the good thing. With and I'll throw the little plug in real quick. When we do the again, I don't know if you're going to be able to get there. It's understandable if you can't because it's on the East Coast. But the Aviator Retro Gaming Tournament and Expo, I'm definitely going to bring a couple of systems. I'll bring my Hyperkins, the NES and the Super NES, and the games that I buy. At least I'll be able to test them. And if you're there, we'll be able to test them, and we can go right back. And go, this one's not working. Let's get a refund.
Oh, doesn't that mean you also have to bring like a television with you?
Yeah, I got my small 19-inch flat screen.
Oh, okay. Well, and where are we plugging all this in?
Don't worry. I've been in contact with people. We're.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. We have a presence there, don't we? We have a table.
We got a table. Yeah, we're going to be there in high gear.
Now I have to.
You know what? It's the West. It's the East Coast. Just because you have those giant frequent flyer miles that I'm sure you're allowed to gift to a friend that you've known for over 20 years who does a podcast with, who can get out to L.A. Oh, I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when was the last time you were here?
I don't know, SummerSlam.
Yeah, exactly. SummerSlam, right? It was a WWE event. It wasn't necessarily
just coincidence.
Yeah, sure.
By the way, keep your calendar clear for November.
Why? What's November?
Survivor Series is at the Staples Center.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm busy.
I can get a hotel.
No, that's. I mean, I'm busy. I'll be at Survivor Series backstage with my friends.
Ooh, ouch. Oh well.
Sorry. Sorry, not sorry.
So let's. It's gonna be fun. Like I said, if you do some recording at SoCal, now it's gonna be funny if we can get it in on time. Like in the same episode. Like I'm looking for these games, and the next day I haven't found a stupid thing.
Exactly. It'll definitely be interesting. But I'll do my best to record some while I'm there. Cool. Maybe I can track down the Angry Video Game Nerd and get some comments.
That'd be awesome. He was just in Jersey too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was at that
yesterday. He's doing signings too, so maybe I'll get a copy of his game and have him sign it.
Nice. Yeah, go for it. Or his movie. Definitely.
Oh, that's right. I forgot he's got the movie too.
The VGN movie. Absolutely. That's cool.
Hysterical. So yeah, there's lots to like about the expo. The list of arcade games that are going to be there will be really cool too.
That's cool.
Like I was looking at the arcade, and they're all free to play.
Oh, even better.
Which is great. So,
all right.
So if you're in the Southern California area this weekend, and you feel like spending some time gaming, I think it's only $20 to get in. It's open from 9 to 6, if I remember correctly.
Well, by the time this drops, it's going to be over. So.
That's a good point. So I hope you enjoyed the expo. If you're able to make it in the SoCal area.
If you have a DeLorean, feel free to go to the SoCal Expo.
Or just wait until August when they do it again.
Oh, okay. Well,
they do it. Yeah, they do it twice a year.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Neat.
Exactly.
Sweet. All right, cool.
So anyway, moving on. What else we got?
This is going to be a slow run episode, people. Don't worry about it.
But it'll be fun because I sound so cool.
Yeah, you got that Barry White thing going.
Yeah, exactly. But don't expect me to sing
so bad.
But anyway, so outside of expos and conventions and things like that, there's been a few things in the news for retro gaming, or at least things that I've found that we haven't mentioned on our podcast before, that I wanted to bring up. And one was this was actually something that launched last month that I think neither of us were aware of. But on Amazon.com, there is a new section called the Retro Zone.
Yeah, you sent this to me right before we started recording today. This is the first I've seen of this. This is quite interesting.
Yeah, so the Amazon Retro Zone, basically, it's like the name implies. It's like anything retro or specifically retro video game related is listed on in this section of Amazon, which is really cool. And it's not just video games. It's also collectibles, apparel, action figures, so on and so forth. So just anything retro that you want, you can now go to Amazon and get. And what I've noticed specifically is that a lot of the retro games, or at least the top retro games, are a good number of them are free to download.
Yeah, I saw those, but also I think those are mobile.
Oh, those are mobile games.
I believe so, but still, just the ease of, and it's going to be Android mobile, not iOS.
Perfect.
But still, this site, checking it out again, Retro Zone. Right off the bat, here, like featured items. Then you got links for Nintendo, Sega, Square Enix, Atari, Retrons, RetroPies. The only thing, now in the short time I'm flipping through this, only $40 for an NES Mini controller? That's not bad. The only thing that kind of bugs me a little bit is the pricing, because I don't think it's necessarily sold through Amazon. Looks like all the stuff, most of this stuff, is third party.
Yes.
Which a lot of stuff on Amazon is anyway. But like the cartridges, like the Super NES games and the Genesis games, bit overpriced. I really haven't found a good cartridge for.
Well, it's not necessarily that they're overpriced though. You have to look and see how they're being sold. So, for example, I'm looking in the Nintendo section, and there's a copy of X-Men Mutant Apocalypse for Super Nintendo for $154. But if you look in the marketplace, it's $154 because it's brand new, still sealed.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yes. So you have to click on it because most of the games are available through marketplace only, and you need to see the condition that they're in. So in this case, you can buy a used copy of X-Men Mutant Apocalypse for $17 if you want, which is about what the game is worth, open. But if you want a brand new, still shrink wrapped one, you can have one for $154.
Like, for example, well, I wonder how new means, because like I'm looking at original black box game on the NES, Golf, used,
right,
$7.34. All the photos are of the game out of the box, cartridge, dust sleeve, used instruction booklet. Buy new, quote unquote, $198.99.
Well, again, I mean, it all comes down to what they mean by new. So, like,
buyer beware.
Yeah,
but
it's always going to be buyer beware. Like, I just found Star Fox on Super Nintendo for $490.
There you go.
So, again, it just all comes down to what they mean by new. You would have to contact the seller, make sure it's sealed in the box.
Yeah.
Wow, $650 for Super Mario RPG.
Well, good thing it's on the console.
Yeah, right.
Super
exactly.
Console.
Exactly. There are some games that you're just not going to want to pay that money for.
Yeah, I have.
Now that game is great, but $650 is a lot of money to pay for a game.
Honestly, I have to admit, of all the things I'm flipping through here as we speak, there's controllers, there's video games, there's Retrons, there's all these things. I don't know why I find it weird how there's third-party. Remember the N64 memory card expansion?
Yes,
that was needed. Like, there's even like those, which I just find funny as third-party. I don't know why. It's like just something weird you don't expect to see as a third-party.
Yeah, but I mean, if it was made for the system, especially because like Amazon Marketplace is open to anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like to what you just said, like I just found the Retro Bit N64 booster pack.
That's what I'm looking at. Yeah.
So you're looking at. Yeah, I mean, it just makes sense. I mean, if it was made for that console, it should be available under this.
Absolutely.
Without question.
Did you ever see a difference between that when we put the expansion pack in? I don't remember seeing a major difference.
No, I don't remember it either. I mean, it was one, but then again, you know what? We were kids. I don't know if we.
True.
Now you can notice it like on your televisions between 4K and yeah, exactly. I think our eyes are better trained now.
Forget about it. Yeah. All right.
Exactly.
That's cool. Here's another thing that you mentioned to me as well, Ant. We may be able to branch off into homebrews. There's a thing on Kickstarter here.
Yes, there's a thing on Kickstarter that I am very excited about, and we need to post a link for this for people on the page. Yeah, absolutely. It's called the NES Maker.
It's make your NES games, no coding required.
Yep, and not only that, while I've been on the site looking at it, mm-hmm. I think their pledge number went up like $1,000.
Oh, they got at the time.
I mean, they've almost tripled their goal.
At the time of this recording, which is Friday night, January 19th, 11:28 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, they have 865 backers. 23 days to go. Just putting the numbers in perspective, their pledge goal was $32,000. They're at almost $90,400.
Yep.
So.
And they'll be getting some money from me. I just haven't decided what I'm pledging.
Yeah, I did a little bit of a pledge, but I may, I don't know, I may up the pledge. So we'll see here.
Yeah, I mean, just the idea of making your own NES games. I mean, that's definitely something I've always wanted to do, and I have a creative brain, as a writer.
You would be perfect, yeah.
Yeah, so why not just buy the NES Maker and start making some games. Then we can have our own homebrews we can sell.
The Retro Gamers, the game.
Yes, I know. It's going to be awesome.
Yes, buddy.
When Princess Larry gets kidnapped.
What? You got to bid on the gold pack. Get those gold cartridges.
Oh, where's the Pro Gold? No, I'll pass on that. It's a little out of my price range.
Fair enough.
Unless you want to invest with me.
What? We'll talk.
We'll talk later.
I know stuff is doing.
But the NES Maker. The really cool thing about it is, you don't have to worry about any coding, which is the most important part, because the coding is the real pain in the butt when it comes to creating games.
Yep.
So they've already simplified that, which is awesome.
Absolutely.
Yep, and then you basically create all the asset. You can create the graphic assets, you build the screens, and then you test it, and you're done. Mm-hmm. You can buy just the software to create the games and then play it on your PC, or if you want to go the extra step, you make the next pledge, which I think is the $88 pledge, and you actually can get the toolkit, which allows you to download it onto a flash cartridge so that you can play it in an NES system.
Yeah, they sell. I mean, you can find these flash cartridges. They look like an NES cartridge. That takes a little bit, an SD card or something like that.
Yep.
Well, actually, usually more of a CD card, but still. And then just play it on a system. So that would be really, really cool. Go look into this a little bit more. Like I said, Ant, we'll put the link up on the page.
We definitely will, and you'll be happy to know, Larry, that they've reached their goal. That now they've released. They're going to be releasing for the NES Maker 5 different game modules.
I saw that
you can create. So you can create adventure games, platformer games, RPGs, brawlers, and your personal favorite, shooters.
Yes. Love that. And their next stretch goal is going to be music.
Music Maker, at 100,000, and I have a feeling they're going to hit that pretty easy.
Oh yeah, they're gonna blow this thing out of the water. So
yep. So good job for these guys.
Definitely.
NES Maker, definitely something to keep an eye on. It will release August of 2018, according to their Kickstarter page.
Yep, and the Kickstarter is going to end February 12th. But you can bid now; you don't get charged till the end if it gets backed. And by all means, this thing is going to clearly be backed. So get in early, folks. Actually, it just jumped up. What'd I say? It was $90,399 in just a few minutes. Now it's $90,509. So.
Yep. So it's going. It's definitely going up.
Cool.
Yep. So that's so that's going on over on the Kickstarter page, and then again, one of the things I like to do before we record is I like to take a look at just any kind of retro news that's coming out and whatnot. And I know last week I had brought up in our Did You Know section that Sega Dreamcast, there are still indie developers making games for the Sega Dreamcast, and how there were a dozen games made last year. There were actually a whole bunch of games coming in 2018, and there's a rumor going around that one of your favorite places, Retrobit, the ones who are making all of the wireless Sega controllers. There's a rumor that Retrobit is working with Sega on a retro console. Ooh. Now, it's nothing's been confirmed. They didn't announce it at CES, but based on, and I don't know if it's just based off of the fact that people saw that they're making controllers, that the next evolutionary step would be they would make a retro console, or if there's a little leak going on the Retrobit of the Sega side. But the rumor is out there that there may be a retro Sega system coming via Retrobit.
Oh man, I am just so waiting for a Genesis. Hyperkin's got their Genesis coming out soon, no date released. But the way Retrobit's working with Sega, no offense to Hyperkin, none whatsoever, but Retrobit is a lot closer to Sega than anyone else is. And,
but you know what?
From them would be big time.
I'd rather see. I don't know if I'd want to see necessarily another retro Genesis. I think I would be more interested in seeing a retro Saturn or a retro Dreamcast.
Well, that's what I'm saying. No one has yet to really hit the market on the CD systems, the PlayStation on. There was going to be one we talked about early in early episodes. It's called the Polymega. That one never really got off the ground. That would have been the first one to really take advantage.
No, whatever happened to that
They just kind of they didn't go away. They just haven't really done anything. Or
but
I haven't seen any updates.
I was gonna say, didn't they make their money on Kickstarter though?
No, they never started it.
Oh, they never started.
They never went to Kickstarter yet. Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, yeah, you're right. If Retrobit can do something where they can work with Sega for the Sega CD, the Saturn, the Dreamcast, that's the next. Right now, and I said it last week, I'm going to say it again, I'm going to say it all year. 2018 is going to be the year of classic gaming, going to be the year of retro gaming, because all these companies and everyone's want and thrill and interest in retro gaming is going to blow up this year. I really feel it. And with all these consoles, with the peripherals, with the controllers coming out, it's making it easier to play the games that we all grew up with and we all love. But this is right now cartridges. The next level is going to be discs. And who's going to break through that ceiling to start doing retro consoles or to allow us to play the CD-based games, on systems that are newer. We talked about it before. The wear and tear on the systems, age is going to get to them. Age is going to get as much to the cartridge because the system's always being used, not the cartridge. So I think Retrobit, if they can do something with Sega, like you said, Ant, with Dreamcast, Saturn, Sega CD, forget about it. They'll own the market for a while.
Yep. Oh, and just so you know, I just did a quick search on the Polymega, and their original release date was going to be sometime in 2018. But the last thing they announced was in July of 2017. So they've been fairly quiet.
Yeah, I think that may have unfortunately fell through. But I'm still.
Well, I wonder if it's I mean, I can't imagine it might be a licensing issue because you have places like Hyperkin making consoles that play like NES games, Genesis games, and whatnot. So I can't imagine that being an issue. But
I don't think so.
Yeah, the fact that they've been quiet for so long is a little disconcerting.
Probably just but they were auspicious and they're I don't even know if that was the right word. They were really making giant leaps to what they wanted to do. Their idea was one thing with different modules that you can plug and unplug. Like you can plug in an NES, take that off, plug in a TurboGrafx, and the CD part of it, everything was encompassed into one CD drive. Would play pretty much everything.
I mean, it was definitely. I think the word you were looking for was ambitious.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
Not auspicious. Auspicious is something completely different.
I'm sure it is.
They were being very ambitious with it, and I'm sure, like with as far as they've designed to this point, I mean, I would think it's a matter of time before they actually do come out with it. But the question is going to be when will they come out with it, and will it be too late?
True. So everyone, be on the lookout this year, 2018. We got the disc, we got the cartridges going. Let us know what you think. Do you think it's time for the discs to start making their way into the retro spotlight? No pun intended. Do you think it will be a while before we see any disc clone systems? Let us know on the Facebook page, facebook.com/retrogamerspodcast. And let us know what next system you would like to see, either as a clone or just kind of make that next wave to hit the mass public, like the NES and the Super NES and soon the Game Boy will. Maybe it's time for Sega and TurboGrafx and all these other companies to really jump up in status. But 2018 is the year of retro gaming.
All right, Larry, it's another week. It's another mini segment, and this week we've got the canceled retro game of the week, which I started a couple weeks ago, and I kind of like this mini segment.
Yeah, it is a good one.
Yeah, so this week's canceled retro game of the week is actually probably one of the most well-known and infamous games that was never released for the Sony PlayStation. It was published by Virgin Interactive. And the title of the game is called Thrill Kill. Do you remember Thrill Kill?
Oh, I remember hearing. Yes, I remember playing that in the arcade.
Yep. So, Thrill Kill was a fighting game similar to Mortal Kombat that was supposed to be released in 1998 on the Sony PlayStation. However, unlike Mortal Kombat, which was one-on-one, Thrill Kill was going to allow 4 players to fight simultaneously in the same room. However, there was a lot of controversy surrounding this game because of its depictions of violence and sexual content.
It was violent. Yep.
Yeah, it was. There was limb dismemberment, violent special moves. There was a lot of BDSM and fetish costume stuff in there.
Get goody.
There were also moves that were had suggestive names such as bitch slap and swallow this.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yes. So anyway, the gameplay consisted of closed 3D rooms where up to 4 people would fight to the death, and then you would finish once you defeated somebody, you got to finish them off with a thrill kill, which is like a fatality from Mortal Kombat. So basically, as you were playing, you would build up a kill meter, and when your kill meter was full and you were finishing somebody off, you would do that special thrill kill move, whatever it was. So the funny thing about this game is that this game is notable for being the first console video game, or at least one of the first console video games, and there were very, very few, to get the adults only rating.
It got an AO. Really?
It got an AO rating, and it's very rare it's very, very rare for a game to have an AO rating.
Wow.
And it was given the AO rating because of its overly sexual content.
Okay, fair enough.
It's too much. So anyway, this game was pretty much completed when they decided not to release it, and I think the adults only rating is what gave it that kiss of death, because all the major console companies like Nintendo, Sega, Sony, all of them refused to release games that had an AO rating, because AO rating meant you had to be 18 years or older to buy it, and because, and once the Entertainment Software Ratings Board came out, games that basically games that were rated like this would not sell very well. So
I think some stores wouldn't carry them.
Right, and stores wouldn't carry it on top of that because they knew they weren't going to make their money back off of it. So Thrill Kill was shelved. Now, mods of this game have popped up all over the internet, since it was not released, but it was pretty much completed. The game itself, from basically peer reviews, wasn't a great game to begin with anyway. It was, there were glitches and all kinds of stuff. But the funny thing about this game is that even though it was unreleased, the Thrill Kill engine of the game was actually used in various other games. So if you ever played Wu-Tang Shaolin Style, which was based, fighting game based on the Wu-Tang Clan, or if you ever played X-Men Mutant Academy on PlayStation, or X-Men Mutant Academy 2, or my personal favorite here, Rock'em Sock'em Robots Arena.
Classic.
All of those games were built off of the engine that was made for Thrill Kill.
Huh.
So the Thrill Kill engine actually lived on in other games, even though the Thrill Kill
good for it
was never released. And that is this week's canceled retro game.
Okay, well, we can easily say now that we are going to have a report from the SoCal Retro Gaming Expo, or about the SoCal Retro Gaming Expo. And it's Sunday. You went to the expo. How was it?
I did. The expo was actually quite fantastic.
Cool.
Yeah, I had a really good time. I went down there with a friend of mine.
Okay.
Shout out to Jose, who came down to brave the crowds of video game lovers.
Nerds.
Yes, not nerds. Well, fellow nerds.
We're all nerds.
We're all nerds, and so is my friend Jose. He is a retro gamer as well.
Was he?
And he was actually scoping out systems.
Oh, was he? I was saying, was he with you during the Super Nintendo Classic?
Yes, that was him.
Oh, all right, cool. An honorary West Coast retro gamer, Jose.
There you go.
Welcome to the club. Let me ask you this question: compared to last year, how big was this one with SoCal?
It was the same. It was the same size as last year.
Oh, all right.
I would want to say it was probably more crowded.
Okay, good.
Good
that they're getting people.
Yeah, no. It was definitely crowded. And I believe I posted photos yesterday on our page. Yesterday being Saturday, of course. And I just showed the morning crowd when I was there, and it was packed. And by the time I had left yesterday, it was just one of those things where it's like I was getting claustrophobic.
Oh wow! So those photos were in the AM. They weren't even like the height of.
No, that was like the first hour.
Oh wow! Okay, that was a lot of people too, and you can see those pictures at the Facebook page and at the Instagram page.
Yes, and and that was within the first hour. And when I first got there, I got there like maybe 5 minutes before they opened.
Okay.
And the line outside was huge, and they were just opening up a second parking lot to park cars.
Oh man!
So
holy cow.
So it was a bit nutty.
Good for them.
Yeah, no, it was really, really good, and it took place at the Frank and Son Collectible Show.
The Frankenstein Collectible Show. Alrighty.
Frank and Son.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, my bad.
Yes, Frank and Son. And the place is basically, it kind of reminds me of like a giant, like bazaar or flea market kind of place. So just imagine imagine a convention floor, but a permanent version of a convention floor.
Ooh, okay.
And it's in the, and you go into this giant place. It's like, warehouse size. It's huge. And there are different booths all over the place. And there's a whole area where there's cards, like Magic the Gathering cards and those type of things.
Cool.
And then there are other people selling toys.
Mm-hmm.
And when I talk about toys, I'm talking about toys like from our childhood and before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I almost bought a Teddy Ruxpin, the original Teddy Ruxpin. It was sitting there.
That would have been sweet.
You name it, they had it toy-wise, like, He-Man, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, all that stuff. Okay. I saw a couple of Turtles in Time cartridges for Super Nintendo that were sitting in cases with no prices on them.
Oh, so interesting. Okay.
I wasn't even... I didn't even ask.
I don't blame you.
But and then there are other areas that sell, like, there are people selling, like, artwork that they've made, Disney stuff, Disney booths. Like I said, just think of a big bazaar or convention,
like,
but it's permanent.
To keep it a little local where we grew up, like a Caesar's Bay.
Yeah, like a Caesar's Bay Bazaar. It's all permanent. I think it's only open on the weekends, and then the
Gotcha.
vendors show up, open up their booth, and you shop there.
That's what I love about these, like SoCal, even like New York Comic Con, like the homemade stuff. That's. I mean, the games are cool, but the homemade stuff usually is even better.
Yeah, there was a woman there. Well, there was a woman at the convention, actually, in the SoCal Expo, who was, and I did not get a card, and I'm kicking myself for it because she was selling homemade Legend of Zelda product, and she had this beautiful recreation of the Majora's Mask.
Really?
It was, she had it marked down. It was $120 marked down, but she had it marked down to $80. Ooh. It was absolutely stunning. Like if I had a wall to put it on, I would have bought it. Okay. But all the other stuff she had like rupees. You know, the money in the game.
Cool. Yeah,
like you could buy a bag of rupees. And they were like, they were like three, like pretty decent size too, like 3 or 4 inches tall. So I'm really bummed that I did not get her information, but I'm sure I'll run into her at another expo.
Yeah.
So anyway, the expo was great. A lot of vendors. I didn't really take a lot of pictures of the vendors because it's what everybody sees.
Yeah, it's the normal stuff. Yeah.
You know, it's just people at tables selling their stuff. There was one guy who had 2 giant glass display cases just showcasing his personal collection.
I saw that.
That was not for sale. I did take a couple pictures of that. That was just his personal collection. It was fantastic. A lot of NES games in the box, complete, really awesome.
Him even bring that with it. Was that Pat the NES Punk?
No, that was not.
Oh, okay, because it looked like the same booth. Okay,
no, Pat the NES Punk had a different.
Gotcha.
Had a different booth. He was selling like a handful of things, but his big ticket item was his book.
Yes.
The NES book through the years. So
Ultimate NES Guide. Definitely check it out. Oh, look at that. Yep. Hi, what does that say?
So, it's a Hyperkin bag.
Oh, that's Hyperkin. All right, boys at Hyperkin.
So he was selling
the size of that book.
His Ultimate Nintendo Guide to the NES Library.
My God, I didn't realize how big that was.
Yeah, it's a huge hardcover book. Goes for $60. He was signing it. He was signing it if you purchased it.
Nice. Yeah,
has over 800 NES games in it.
Should have all of them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's over 400 pages.
Nice.
And each page covers, like, I think 2 games. So 2 games per page.
Okay, yep.
To get you to that 800. And then he's got cool little... do you remember the little advertisements that used to come in your NES boxes and stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Like these?
Oh.
Yeah, yes. So he's got those, like, lining some of the pages.
Oh, that's cool.
Really cool. Yeah, I mean, it's just it's a bear. The book is huge.
I didn't realize how big
it's huge. It's thick.
I had the digital copy. Book. That's why I didn't realize. Huh.
Yeah, so I picked you up a copy. I picked myself up a copy.
Thank you very much.
Nice. You know, signed by. I also told Pat that you contributed to his Kickstarter.
I did.
And he was like, oh, that's so cool. And you'll be happy to know that your name is on page 436.
Nice, right where I belong, right in the back of the book.
Yep, with the rest of the Kickstarter people.
Awesome.
So so I picked that up and I talked to him and I slipped him our card.
Did you? Nice.
I told him, I was like, we have a podcast, and I'm like, I don't know if you listen to them, and he's like, oh man, I usually don't listen to them because I do my own once a week.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, but he took the card anyway. I was like,
awesome.
It probably made its way into the trash, but
that's okay. Fine. That's okay.
But it was really cool. And then they had other people there. They had the Angry Video Game Nerd who wasn't there while I was there.
Oh, okay.
He came later in the day. And,
I just missed him out here in Jersey.
Unfortunately, I couldn't stick around anymore because whatever bug or sickness I've been fighting for the last few days was getting the better of me. So I had to split. And then there was another guy there who had a huge line for autographs. And on the table had his name. They had a sheet of paper with his name, and it was Mike McMuscles.
Mike McMuscles.
But it's some other. He was another retro video game. He's another retro video game guy, and he had a huge line for autographs.
Okay.
So I got to look him up. So anyway, they had a couple of video game tournaments going on. There were a ton of panels happening while I was there. Everything was very organized, which was cool. It was definitely crowded. You had to kind of at certain points you kind of had to, kind of
elbow your way through.
Yeah, kind of elbow your way through as other people did.
Okay.
But otherwise, very well done, very organized. Kudos to the SoCal Retro Gaming Expo guys for putting together a great show.
Cool.
And a thank you for getting for my passes as well.
Yes, thank you, SoCal. Thank you very
much. Yeah, I will definitely recommend them to anybody who anybody who wants to go to a retro gaming expo.
Absolutely.
So, you definitely need to make a visit out to LA.
1 year, definitely.
1 year when we're like 80. So anyway, and then how can I not mention all the arcade games that were there?
Yeah, I saw some of those photos.
Yeah, they just had like an arcade aisle basically right when you walked in, and you name it, it was there. Space Invaders, Tetris, Super Mario Brothers, the original Mario Brothers.
Yep.
They had dual cabinet Street Fighter.
Yeah, what was up with that? One player on each side?
Yeah, it was.
Wow,
really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was really, really cool. They had Marvel vs. Capcom 2. They had Miss Pac-Man.
I saw your hand at Miss Pac-Man.
Yeah, you know what? It was really hard to play while I was live streaming.
I'll give you the credit on that one. That was difficult.
Well, I couldn't see the bottom third of the board. I was looking at it through my phone.
Yeah, that was nuts.
But it was really fun playing through that. And then they had the tabletop Pac-Mans. There were 3 of them.
Yes. Oh,
which was
man.
really cool. I wanted to like buy.
How much were they? Were they priced?
No. They were there for
okay.
play.
Oh, okay.
They were there for play.
Yeah, I'm kicking myself in the butt.
They had the X-Men arcade game, the Terminator 2 pinball machine. Okay. So and like for the first hour I was there, I think they weren't that crowded. So like I was kind of bouncing around a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, but then like probably by like 10:30, I was like, you really couldn't get on a machine. It was full.
Yeah. I would imagine by then.
So yeah, it was really cool. And then, I did several rounds on the floor because some of the vendors were late.
Oh.
There was a retro bit booth. There was a Hyperkin booth.
Nice.
Which was cool. Don't say that. Don't say noise. That's terrible way to say the word nice.
What?
I have a friend who says it like that too, and I rag on him for it. Wait, no noise. No.
Nice.
So anyway, did a few rounds. Did a few rounds at some booths and picked myself up some games.
All right, let's see. Let's check the hall. Let's see what your Amex is screaming about.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it's my MasterCard, unfortunately. So I'm going to start with this one guy who. Well, first I bought. I think in total I bought 11 games.
Ooh,
I think.
Wow, nice.
4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games. I already have this, but I bought it again because of the condition it was in, and it was only $4. But WCW Mayhem for PlayStation.
That's a nice condition.
It's in perfect condition to the point where I don't even know if it was played because I've got like the little original insert that went in
look
it.
At that.
Yeah, so it's like it really doesn't look like anybody touched this thing.
Not at all.
So I was like, okay. I was like, for that reason alone, I was like, I thought it was worth the $4.
Absolutely.
It's even got the WCW
the
seal of approval thing there, the little hologram. So I was like, I thought that was kind of cool.
Very.
Then I found this other booth, and and there were these 2 guys there that were just shouting the whole time they were there. It's like everything's $5, $5, $5.
$5.
He's like, he kept pushing everybody because he's like, we're clearing out by 3:00, so buy it now. The more you buy, we'll give you a deal. So I'm like, all right, fine. So I went through all of their stuff. And first off, this isn't retro game related, but I am a big fan. My favorite board game is the Clue.
Okay.
I'm an avid fan of the board game. I started collecting actual Clue board games. Mm-hmm. So I picked up the Dungeons and Dragons Clue game.
That's cool.
Brand new,
yeah.
Which is nice.
Oh, look at that. Nice.
I have a sneaky suspicion that all this stuff fell off the back of a truck, by the way.
Yeah, think.
Which is why they were kind of like hurrying up. So I'll just say right now that I picked up that Clue game, and I want to say 2, 4, 6, 7 NES games for $50.
Oh my god! Yeah, okay, yeah. Those I think those are hot items. So, but we'll leave it at
that. I was a little sketchy about it because then when I got home, I'm like, well, are these even going to work? And then I cleaned them all properly, put them in my system. 2 of them are giving me a little bit of grief, but for the most part, they work.
Brasso, you got to get Brasso. That's really the thing to use.
Brasso. All right,
for real.
So, picked up Commando.
Ooh, nice.
Yep. And the other cool thing about them is that, like, for the most part, like, the labels are pretty damn good.
Yeah, that's a good label. Look at that.
You know, they have really, really clean labels. And I'll post photos on Facebook. So we got Dragon Warrior, which is nice.
Yep, classic. Yep.
Great game. I already own this game, but I wanted the other version. This is the 10-gen version of Gauntlet.
Yes, that alternate cartridge, the kind of their way to get around the
this is
system
how this is how they used to get around the copyright issues.
Yep.
And paying Nintendo.
Yeah.
Akari Warriors.
Akari Warriors. Yes.
Akari Warriors. Yep, which is basically Rambo, but Akari Warriors. Got some Super Spike V-Ball.
Oh. Classic.
Another fun game. TNC Surf Design.
Oh, God, I own that game, and I hated that game. Yep. I mean, I just couldn't do anything in it.
No, I know. The game's a pain in the ass. And last but not least, this game I used to love playing all the time, Track and Field 2.
Ooh, all right. Very cool.
So,
nice. Look at those labels. Like, did you have to like search through to find those nice labels? They were just
no.
Pretty much...
He only had maybe like 50 or 60 games on the table. And I'm actually sorry I didn't buy more because there were a couple other ones. Like they had like 5 or 6 Dr. Marios. I should have picked one up. Yep. So grabbed those. Then went to another guy, and he was selling a couple of games that were a little. Well, I guess I paid what they're worth, but I thought they were a decent price. So the first one I picked up was Castlevania 3.
Oh wow!
Miraculous.
If you don't mind me asking, how much was that?
$25.
Not bad. Not bad at all.
Not bad.
Nope.
And you know what's funny? Like I just realized I don't have any Castlevania NES games. So this was
Really?
the first one I grabbed. Yeah, I honestly thought I had Castlevania 2. I know I didn't have the first one, but
well, you picked a good one.
Yeah. So, but I grabbed Castlevania 3. He had Castlevania 2, but I didn't like the labels weren't in that great of a shape. So I was like, okay, fine.
Fair enough.
And then I got DuckTales.
DuckTales. Nice.
DuckTales. Yeah. So, and I only paid $15.
No, really?
Yeah.
Holy! So was that red dot?
Yeah, probably the red dot on it. But for $15, I was like, you know what? Somebody else had this with the box for $50, and I almost bought it.
Ooh, that's actually not bad.
But then I was, no, it wasn't bad. But I was like, you know what? I'll just stick with this one for $15. And then
now
I went to another.
Now you're getting smart with your shopping.
Yeah, I know. And then I went to and then last but not least, I went to another guy who had some games in box. And the game that I picked up, I'm like, well, this one doesn't have a price. I was like, well, what are you charging for this? He's like, give me $10 for it. It's complete in box. So I picked up Casino Kid.
Wow, nice.
Yeah,
box.
And the box is in great condition.
Very great condition.
Yep. And then the game itself, additionally, also the label's pristine, and so is the book.
Oh my God!
So
beauty.
Yeah.
I'm
so
paranoid about saying nice now, but beautiful.
Yeah. No, don't say nice anymore. So all in all, I mean, I picked up a dozen games.
Not
did
bad.
I say? Or I picked up 11 games. I picked up another Clue board game for my collection, and the Ultimate NES library from Pat the NES Punk signed.
Absolutely.
Cool. So all in all, I thought it was like a really successful haul. I thought the expo was fantastic. Like I said, I highly recommend it if anybody out there is interested or in the area or wants to visit California, Southern California when it's going on. I believe they happen twice a year. SoCal Retro Gaming Expo.com. And as for the Frankenstein Collectible Show, there are booths there that sell video games regularly. So if you ever want to go hit a couple of booths in the place, I highly recommend checking them out. And overall, had a great time. Looking forward to the next one. And that was my recap for the SoCal Retro Gaming Expo.
All right. Well, Ant, you know what? You've been a little bit under the weather, so...
Larry, let me tell you something. I'm fading faster than the Virtual Boy.
Whoa! Shazoozle. Got it in. All right, look at that. Even under the weather, folks, he still gets it.
I can always find one.
So, I'm going to give you a little insight here. I'm going to take over Retro Spotlight this week. And I've actually been sitting on this for a little while, and it's a game that I still...
Really? How warm is it?
It's disgustingly warm. It's a game I haven't played yet, but I want to play. I'll be able to because it's on the Super NES Classic. But this week we're going to talk about Earthbound.
Ooh.
For the Super Nintendo, which was a very good game. Not in the beginning. It got its legs later in life, almost like a cult following. But definitely a game worthwhile to play. And Earthbound in the U.S. was known as a game called Mother 2 in Japan. A 1994 Earthbound is a 1994 Japanese role-playing game, which was co-developed by HAL Laboratory and Ape Inc., which I find funny.
I happen to own Mother 2, by the way.
Do you? Oh, you bought one? Nice.
Yes, I did buy one when I was in Japan last year.
So that's your original Japanese Earthbound.
I can never play it, of course.
So it's published by Nintendo. It's on the Super NES. And it later, came out on the Virtual Console, like we mentioned, on the Super NES Classic. The game was in development for 5 years. So this game, I mean, it took a while.
Insane.
Yeah. Took a while to get out. Fun to note who was the game's producer, future Nintendo president, the late, great Satoru Iwata.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he actually worked as the game as a producer. Other big names on there, the musician-songwriter Kaishi Suzuki was part of it. And Shigetsato Itoi was the writer-director. Big names in the gaming business. Earthbound, it was a bit of a mix of American, it's not a mix, American and Western cultural idiosyncrasies. If you play this game, Earthbound, it is a very weird game because Japan was importing those, like I said, those themes, American themes. The game had real-world settings, which also parodied traditional RPG gameplay, role-playing games, or JRPG, I should say, Japanese role-playing games.
That is correct.
They were trying to reach, kind of like non-gamers, they were trying to reach a new audience because of the goofy feel that this game had. In fact, they went so far as the promotional campaign, which was one of the downfalls of the game. The promotional campaigns for this proclaimed their tagline, "This game stinks." And what they did was, in some markets, they actually handed out like scratch and sniff cards that had kind of like an odor on it, like meaning like this game stinks, meaning it smells for some reason. So, because of that, there was very poor reception in the United States. It only sold about half as many units as it did in Japan, because the graphics, the weird ad campaign, the lack of interest in the market. This really looked like it wasn't going to really have any history in the history of the Super NES. But where, like a cult movie, it didn't start off hot, but as time went on, it really grew on people. The main character, Ness, he eventually ended up in the Super Smash Brothers series.
Yes, that I remember.
Yep. It started to gain world, the name of it started to get out there in the world, in Europe. Of course, Japan already knew about it. Eventually, when it hit the Virtual Console, that's when almost like a new audience compared to the original 1994 audience really was able to see what this game was all about. Now, what made it interesting, though, there were still parts of it, even though it was kind of wacky and weird, there was no overworld map. This is a role-playing game, but it was in one seamless world. So there's no, traveling to another island or waiting for something to, have to, like warp to another dimension or something. It was one giant world.
That's almost like Link to the Past, right? Wasn't Link to the Past just one world except, until you switch halfway through the game?
But you can see it like that. Well, yeah, I guess you can say that. Unless you want to count going into the dungeons and everything. Maybe like a different part of the world. Now, in these Japanese role-playing games, typically they're a top-down view. Almost kind of like Zelda or what we know as the early Final Fantasy games. This had almost a side-scrolling feel to it. It had like this, what they called oblique projection. So it was very non-traditional in Japan. There were no random battles. Thank God, no random battles, because that's what I hated about the Final Fantasy series. And
just
Dungeon
didn't
Quest.
Randomly fighting things?
No, you get through one battle, you walk 2 feet, wham, you're in another battle.
But that's the only way you get to level up your character.
Yeah, I know,
so you can
but
become more powerful.
It's boring after a while. But you kind of get to choose the battles because battles started with physical contact, like it is in the real world.
Of course, that's exactly how battles happen.
So now beyond, you have different, beyond your attack, your heal, your run, you can use spy and mirror, basically meaning, you can kind of trigger like how many hit points are left on the enemy, so it kind of gives you an idea of where you are in the battle. Now, the game was kind of smart because sometimes in Final Fantasy, in a role-playing game, to level up, sometimes you may just farm, meaning you'll stay like in an early level you could be like a level 20, but try and defeat level 1 enemies, and you'll keep getting like 1 experience point. But after a while, you'll level up big time, but it just gets easy and easy. In this game, when you level up, if you encounter a much weaker opponent, you win automatically, and then eventually the weak enemies will just flee from your group, so you won't even be able to fight the weak enemies. So you can't farm. It forces you to move forward.
Oh, that's very clever.
So they were really reaching out, like I said, to a core group of people, core audience, to kind of bring it compare it to a game that came out recently. Earthbound was heavily influenced for the game South Park: The Stick of Truth.
Oh, wow. And South Park: The Stick of Truth. South Park: Stick of Truth is one of the funniest games I've ever played.
Trey Parker, by far, was a fan. Nintendo had absolutely no interest in ever re-releasing this game. And I'm talking on a virtual console. They really wanted nothing to do with it, but there were a bunch of like online communities that loved Earthbound so much, they would constantly write to Nintendo saying, release this game, re-release this game, get it on the virtual console, and eventually the people were heard and listened to, and Earthbound did eventually make it to the virtual console, the Wii and the Wii U virtual console.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. So the power of the people, folks. Always.
That's it.
Always
comes down to the people.
So there was going to be a sequel to Earthbound, actually, on the N64, called, Mother 3, if you will. Earthbound 64 in the U.S. It was going to be released on the 64 disk drive, but, again, they couldn't find the release date, and then when the 64 disk drive canceled, so did Earthbound 64.
Aww.
So we never really got that last game, which I think will look sweet on an N64.
I'm sure it would.
Yeah. So beyond that, that's really, this game, if you're looking for something quirky, if you're looking for something different, even for 1994, if you're looking for something just out of the ordinary, and you have the Super NES Classic or you have, able to download on the Virtual Console, check out Earthbound. I think you will be pleasantly surprised, especially if you are a role-playing game fan. You will be pleasantly surprised as to how much the game really is. And to show how weird it was here in the U.S., in Japan it sold 280,000 copies. In the U.S., again, only 140,000.
Well, again, I mean, I think to your point earlier is that it was a new game in the eyes of gamers, and it came out towards the end of a cycle when everybody was transitioning over to like Sony PlayStation.
Oh, absolutely.
So, and Sega Saturn, so to speak. So, I'm sure that hurt it a lot.
Yeah, it did. Again, original, but thankfully, people learned to love it, and we finally got what we should have had all the time: Earthbound out there on the Super NES Classic, on the Virtual Console. Check it out. Try and pick it up at a local retro gaming store as well if you can. Play it on whatever system you have for Super Nintendo. And let us know what you think about Earthbound, which is this week's Retro Spotlight.
All right, Larry, we're back, and this week it's time for another Did You Know?
Oh, all right, let's see. Did I know?
Yeah, now, did you know that only 29 games in existence have been given the restricted adults-only rating? Since we were talking about Throw-Kill earlier, getting the adults-only rating, that
I'm shocked it's that many, to be honest.
Well, here's the thing. Only 29 games have been given the restricted adults-only rating. Only 3 of them were console games.
That makes sense.
Yes. Now, one of those games was the one I just spoke about earlier, which was Thrill Kill for the PlayStation, and that was not even released.
Let me guess. Can I guess one of them? I think it's an easy one to guess.
Go ahead.
GTA San Andreas with the hot coffee.
That is correct. So Grand Theft Auto San Andreas on PlayStation 2 and Xbox was given an adults-only rating temporarily because of the hot coffee hack that was in the game. Mm-hmm. And if you don't know what the hot coffee hack is, what happened is it allowed you to have sex in the game with the prostitutes.
Bazinga.
However, they did come out with a fix for that, and then once it was properly fixed, the adults only rating was lifted, and San Andreas dropped down to just a mature rating.
A simple, easy, no nonsense mature rating.
Correct. Now the third game that was given an adults only rating was also the first game ever to receive an adults only rating, and it came out in 1993.
Really?
On the Philips CDI. And it was called The Joy of Sex.
Well, that kind of puts it right on Front Street.
Well, that just describes itself.
Yeah. Right.
The other 26 games that have received adults only were all on PC or Mac. So that is this week's Did You Know?
All right, so, we may or may not have a report from SoCal Expo, at least maybe not this week. We'll find out. You'll know if you've heard this already. And if there is one there, and thank you for reporting from the SoCal Retro Expo.
Well, I look forward to going to the SoCal Retro Gaming Expo, and at the same time, what a fantastic SoCal Retro Gaming Expo it was.
Covering all bases. That's what we do here.
That is how we roll.
I just want to make just one thing just real quick. We're not going to touch on it, but I just want to make a comment with the Did You Know? I'm going to imagine majority of those games were already adult-oriented games. Yes,
it's very clear in the titles of some of them, especially the PC ones, like All New Cyber and All New Nikki. It's pretty clear what the intention was.
I think I knew Nikki. I don't know.
Yeah, you might. Knowing you know Nikki very well.
How dare you? She knows my credit card. It's another show. All right. Well, we're gonna wrap this one up. Andy, I know you're under the weather. You've already took your NyQuil, so you're gonna be fading.
Yes,
anyway.
I'm already heavily medicated, and I'm about to fall into a wonderful slumber.
All right. So we'll start to wrap it up. One thing to remember, though, folks, if you want to wear some of the best merchandise from your favorite podcast, The Retro Gamers, check us out, pro.tchip.com/TheRetroGamers. Mugs seem to be a popular choice. We're selling mugs left and right.
People like to drink their coffee.
They do. T-shirts for both adult and children. Hats, phone, cell phone.
Why are we selling to children?
Why not? They're small. But yet it's weird because the child's T-shirt is like a little more expensive than a regular T-shirt, and that's actually the regular pricing of it.
Well, that's because it takes extra work for them to shrink the shirt down.
I guess so. They had to leave it in the dryer longer.
Yes.
So check it out, pro.tchip.com/RetroGamers. Pick up some of your Retro Gamers merch. Trust me when I tell you, we're not going to be getting rich off of it, but it's certainly going to help offset the storage fees that we have here with the podcasts.
It'll also help us make games when we purchase our NES maker.
This is true, actually. That's going to be fun. Imagine. Oh, my gosh. Can't wait.
I can't wait.
And, as we're talking here, as we're recording, I'm staring at my box of Super Mario cereal, so I'm going to have to hit that pretty soon.
Yes, I have 2 boxes of Super Mario cereal I'm waiting to eat.
Check us out everywhere. Instagram at @the_RetroGamers. Our website, theretrogamers.com. Anywhere you listen to podcasts. Spreaker, iTunes, Amazon Alexa, iHeartRadio, YouTube. Check it all out. And, of course, Facebook.com/RetroGamersPodcast. And enjoy the SoCal Expo at the same time. Look, I'm glad you had fun at the SoCal Expo.
Thank you very much. I look forward to and enjoyed every bit of the SoCal Retro Gaming Expo.
Oh, that NyQuil's kicking in, folks. All right.
That's it. The words are starting to slur.
And have a good night. Feel better.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm already sleeping.
And, folks, check us out next week on the Retro Gamers.